Hi, it's Ricky from Moshville Times here once again. Tonight I'm delighted to welcome Edinburgh-based band King Witch. Tonight we've got vocalist Laura, we've got guitarist Jamie, and we've just been joined by Rory, the bassist as well. So it's good to see you guys. King Witch like to play the metal of the doom and the heavy metal kinds, maybe in the vein of I would say like Candlemass, obviously Sabbath, and maybe even a wee bit of Higher and Fire. But listen, guys, it's great to see you. How have things been through lockdown and things like that? Are things beginning to open up and you can all meet up and things?
Yeah, man, it's cool. Thanks for having us on today.
No worries.
Yeah, I mean, we've been able to practice quite a lot recently because we've got some gigs coming up. But I mean, during lockdown, just the same as everybody else, we were because we're all sort of dotted around, you weren't able to get in the jam room. We did a few things. We did some covers though, where we recorded remotely, which was really good fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been amazing being able to actually go and play loud music again. It felt really, really weird not being able to do it, considering it was such a ritualistic thing. We've been doing it for years, like all of us, in one way or another.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been great to do it again.
Cool. We've got quite a few things to talk about, but obviously the main one at the moment is you're doing something on Thursday on some Sophie Lancaster stage, aren't you? Yeah. You must be so excited with this.
It'd be quite a mad way to get back into gigging. We were kind of initially planning to have some, club gigs and that first, but obviously they keep on getting, because of just the nature of what's going on, they get cancelled or postponed and that, so they're all happening next month now. Yeah. So it's straight back in with the first gig back being Bloodstock. So yeah.
We're only shitting ourselves mildly.
So Rory, have you been able to get into the rehearsal rooms a couple of times recently to prepare for this?
Yeah, I've been able to get through to Edinburgh, no problem, and we've got a good practice space, so we've been getting together 2 or 3 times a week for the last couple of months in preparation. Probably longer than that, actually, since we were able to get back in.
So was it a case of you went to the rehearsal room and you went, who are you again? What instrument is it you play?
A wee bit. It was nice to see everyone because it had been such a long time since we'd all actually kind of gotten together. And like Laura was saying, we'd done those covers. So there was obviously kind of lots of communication and stuff involved with all that, and we were in contact with each other for the duration of the lockdown. But it was just nice getting to see each other again and make some music in that again. It was a long time apart. So that's one of the main things I'm looking forward to about Bloodstock. The gig will obviously be amazing, but just getting to hang out will be nice.
Yeah. Thanks very much for that, Rory. So, Laura, you obviously don't play an instrument, so it's the first time that you guys got together in quite some time then. So who made the mistakes the most at the rehearsals then?
Probably me. I'm like, what the fuck are the lyrics? I actually was really surprised. I thought it would be a shambles, but I thought we played amazingly, considering we hadn't been in a jam room together for ages, and it felt great. That we could still pull the songs together. So yeah, cool. That was cool. Yeah,
excellent. Now I'm actually part of Moshville.radio as well, so we've played King Witch on the radio as well to promote the Bloodstock on quite a few occasions now. In fact, we've got another show on Tuesday night as well, myself and Shell, so we'll be sure to play King Witch again.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries with that at all. But we're not. So we've obviously got Bloodstock, but we've got a host of other things to talk about. So, with the lockdown and the shit year that was 2020, it's extremely pleasing to hear that you guys have been busy at it and you've released your second album, Body of Light, through the huge record label that is Listenable Records in April of last year. So I know it's like a year now, but how did it feel to get it finally out there for the masses to hear?
Yeah, it was awesome. It feels like such a long time ago now, because it's been a strange year, but yeah, it was just really strange because by it came out like a month or so into the first lockdown, so obviously it was finished and all the record labels promo and stuff was well in gear and past the point of no return by the time lockdown started. So it was I was quite glad that it was actually coming out, because had it been a month or so later, it might have just been postponed,
Yeah.
until afterwards when you'll have a slew of albums coming out that were postponed. So
Yeah.
I was glad, even though we couldn't tour to promote it immediately, that it was out, because, you know, it was nice just to get it done in a timely fashion and not have to wait,
Yeah.
what, 18 months for it.
So was it always intended to come out in April then, or was it even ready before that? It was always meant to be?
Nah, that was it. It was all quite a sort of, even the release date was sort of set while we were still in the studio, to be honest. So we recorded it sort of November, December.
Yeah.
It was mastered in December, I think. And then you give the record company 3 or 4 months, and that was it. So it was it's the first time we've done a recording where it's been like that, because the first album, we sort of, you know, we signed with Listenable after the album was finished. So it's the first time that we've actually had a deadline while being in the studio. So that was a new one on me. But it was good in a way as well, because it's like, you know, there's none of this, you know, going away and coming back 2 months later to tweak, you know, one note in the middle of a 10-minute song that you're not happy with, you know what I mean? It was like, we'll just get the fucking thing finished, and then it says a better way of working, I think. So, yeah.
I have to tip my hat off to you. Like, I think it was after your first EP, wasn't it, that you got signed to Listenable? I mean, did you get any other offers at that time, or did they just contact you out the blue, say, we really like you, we want to sign you?
There was a few folk that we were sort of speaking to around that time, and then it was with Listenable that it just sort of worked out. Yeah. We were sort of talking to them for a while, and then it was just after we'd recorded that we sort of agreed on a deal, and we're delighted to work with them. They've definitely afforded us opportunities that would have been difficult without them, you know.
And also Laurent, who runs the label, he's just he's a really nice guy, and he's like in it for the music. He really likes the bands that he takes on, so it kind of feels like, you know, he's got a vested, like, an interest in you, and it's not just like a turning out, like, I don't know, just it feels like he's like interested in it, which is great.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I say, it's a huge label, so congratulations on getting that deal. Brilliant. But Rory, I'm going to get you involved because I know that you've only got a short amount of time. So for those that are new to the band then, how would you say Body of Light compares to the debut album, Under the Mountain? And do you think you've found the sound that you've been looking for with this new material?
I wasn't as involved with the first album. It was a different bass player at the time, a couple of different guys. So I very much tried to keep it as true to for the Under the Mountain stuff. Sorry, when I was learning that, tried to keep it as true to the kind of original bass player's parts as I could. And when we started working on Body of Light, those were, I think, songs that the guys had been working on for a while before I'd kind of joined the band. But it certainly felt like they were fresh for us all, with a new lineup and stuff. Obviously, the whole kind of dynamic changes a little bit. I'm not really too sure. I think it'd probably be an easier one for Laura or Jamie to kind of touch on.
I was definitely going to bring Jamie in as well. What do you think, Jamie?
I think it was a much more more of like a band focused process this time around. Like, we did a lot more, like Rory's saying, like, a lot of the ideas for the songs had been there for a while, but they all kind of came together and formed that it was recorded as a band more probably than was on the first album, you know. So that was cool. It was like, in a way, a bit more organic in terms of the writing process. But like, as for like if that's the sound we're sort of settling on, I don't know. It's really hard to say, man, because I don't think we ever really have any sort of plan what we're going to do with anything. It's just what happens, you know. So it's like, I was certainly really happy with how it came out, but whether the next album will sound like that or not is difficult to say. We'll see.
So with you not being able to see each other then, so how did you communicate your ideas to each other? Because Laura, I imagine Jamie's the type of guy that would send a riff at 4 o'clock in the morning or something like that.
You mean for the album?
Yeah, like just ideas for the album, yeah. Or like, do you have any more new stuff? Because as we know, like it's been over a year since the album, so I imagine you might have a couple of new songs in the works as well.
We do have some new tunes that we've been working on. We were working on them just when we first started kind of playing again. Jamie would normally like come up with a few riffs, and then we'll bring it into the jam room, and then and then just sort of try and piece it together there and work on it. But since we've been we're on the bill for Bloodstock and we had gigs and stuff coming up, we've just been basically practicing the set non-stop.
Yeah.
I know, but we do have some new ideas.
Yeah. Any complete songs, or is it just a number of?
Well, pretty complete. A few ideas. Yeah, I don't know how many, is it 5 or 6 that are.
Because it must be quite strange. It must be quite strange if you've got new songs and new ideas and stuff like that, but you've still got a whole album that you haven't played one gig with yet.
Yeah,
I know.
totally,
It's so weird.
It's really unusual.
The album launch that never happened. Cancelled about 5 million times.
Yeah. So with the length of time of the lockdowns then, has it made you look at the more business side of the band as well? Keeping the name of King Witch out there, selling your merch. I noticed that you've done a covers EP as well. Just, I think it was May, you released it this year. Yeah. So that was just, again, another tool to let the masses know that King Witch are still alive and kicking and ready. But has it made you look at the band in a different way?
I don't think it's made us look at the band in a different way. I think we were always quite, that was always something we kind of did anyway. Yeah. But I think maybe we kind of tried to think of different ways to be able to promote the band, because you couldn't, promote gigs or play together or whatever. It was try to keep it interesting, because every other band was doing the exact same thing as well. So loads of bands that did covers, yeah. And competitions, but it's quite hard to to think outside the box when normally you spend all your time jamming and gigging. So none of us are business geeks or anything like that. but I think we did all right. Sales and stuff like that for t-shirts and albums and all that did all right during lockdown. People obviously were listening to more music, and which is good.
Yeah. Did you think of doing a virtual gig, or even just a live gig from your rehearsal space when you could get together?
We'd kind of thought about a few things. We were talking to some folk, and it was one of these things that just never happened. It was either going to be, I think there was one point we were talking about doing it, and it was just because of restrictions at the time, it was going to be impossible to get a decent amount of rehearsals in and stuff like that. And then the logistics, we're concerned it might end up just looking a bit shit. You know what I mean? It was one of these things that it was starting to become a massive ball ache for, we'll just wait and play some proper gigs. Yeah. It was kind of, I think it's it's like Laura was saying at the start of lockdown, and everyone was falling over themselves trying to put all this content up online and stuff like that. And after a while, we were well, just got to let it keep ticking over. You know what I mean? We can't, we're not going to, produce a new song every week and just punt it up just to keep the, but no, I think we struck a good balance of keeping things ticking over. Obviously, we had a few videos that came out over lockdown, and then the covers thing was just really good fun. Yeah, it was just a really awesome thing to do, and it was really just a nice thing to do to keep us sort of working together a bit. Yeah. That was sort of recorded that over Christmas, basically,
Yeah, it turned out really well as well, considering we all recorded our parts remotely, and that turned out really well.
Yeah, it was well chuffed.
Cool. Okay, so thanks very much for that, guys. I noticed with your debut album, the songs were no longer than 6 minutes in length generally, but with Body of Light, 6 minutes was mostly the shortest songs.
Yeah.
So what would you say are the reasons for the longer songs, and is this a direction that you think that you'll keep on going?
No, I think if I was to pursue that direction any further, it might start getting ridiculous, and we'd have double albums with one song per album. One song spread over 2 sides of a vinyl. So we'll try and nip that in the bud a little bit. But no, it wasn't a conscious decision. It was just one of these things, because a few of the songs, on Body of Light, were more sort of epic numbers, whereas there might have been a few more up tempo and Under the Mountain. I guess they just ended up being, sort of longer songs.
Just one more riff.
Yeah, just one more riff. So yeah, the old Columbo. Just when you think a song's finished, you're just putting the guitar down. You're like, just one more riff. We'll tag that on at the end.
Well, from what I've heard, though, it certainly doesn't make it any boring. It certainly has atmosphere to the song, but it has to be done right to maintain the interest. I mean, it certainly does. So again, kudos to you. So
thank you.
It must be. It's funny though, like if you get a half-hour set, like I don't know if you're getting a half-hour set in Bloodstock, for example, and you're only going to play 4 songs.
Yeah, no, we're playing 40 minutes at Bloodstock, and it is tricky with shorter sets. So you do like, but we tend to, like, our sets tend to be made up from like both albums and our debut EP, you know, and so, but yeah, I mean, even the Bloodstock set has got like 3 8-minute songs in it still, because it's just the way it works out, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I've remembered my question, by the way. So Jamie and Rory, you guys, it's easy enough for you guys to like pick up your guitars and just sort out riffs and stuff like that. But Laura, with you being the vocalist then, and pretty much not being able to sing live or go into the rehearsal studio for like 18 months, how do you keep your vocals in check? Like, how have you maintained your vocal cords?
I tried. I'm not the best at doing practice all the time, but I try to, you know, like do warm-ups and practice little bits and bobs when I'm at home. But I've always been pretty lax when it came to maintaining the old voice. Yeah. It's something I should definitely do a bit more. But for I do warm-ups and stuff like that before practice and before like gigs and stuff, but you feel like a bit of a fanny doing it because everybody's like, you know, like looking cool with their guitars or their bass or drums or whatever, and I'm like looking like a total mentalist.
I'm also just wondering though, whether your neighbours don't like you very much because you're practicing, whether you're singing in the shower or you're in the car.
Well.
I don't know if it's the singing. It's probably like the reamping bass and guitars in the house that bothers the neighbours. Like when we were doing the cover recordings, like we done all the guitars in the house, so that was fucking loud. Like, and the bass, Rory recorded the bass, and then I reamped the bass parts to a 200-watt orange valve head in the house, and I went outside while I was running it through, and it was just this like deeply unsettling low-end rumble just resonating through the whole street. There was at that point a wee old lady living next door who was really nice, and she claimed she couldn't hear anything.
I think she was deaf. Yeah.
So.
Just turn up every morning.
She's not there anymore though, so
yeah.
There you go, champion. Thanks very much. So with the recording of Body of Light, was there anything that you done differently when recording Under the Mountain, and will you be taking this new experience forward to the next release, like for example the way it was recorded, or who was producing it for you, or the way it was all set up? What was different?
Well, Under the Mountain, the first album was recorded in our practice room. So I was doing like the production and mixing, and then Tom Dring mastered it. For this album, for Body of Light, we went to a new studio run by our good friend Kevin Hare called Deep Storm, which is near East Kilbride. It's a fantastic place.
That's where I live.
Nice.
Is it?
Yes.
Nice. Well, it's near you. But yeah, I'd certainly urge any bands looking to record to look it up, because it's a fantastic place.
Yeah, it's lovely.
It was really good having Kev. So me and Kev sort of produced and mixed it together, and having an extra pair of ears and opinions and hands on it, like, was made a huge difference, you know. I think it allowed me to take a step back, which was great. But also just the live sound from the studio. It's like, it's just a great sounding place to record. So I think that made a big difference, you know.
Cool. So Laura, was Kev, you can call him Kev just now, but did you have a few names for him when he was kind of like pushing you? I said, no, I want more, I need more, bring more. I like to hear.
Actually, Kev was all right. It's Jamie in the background. It's like, it's like, oh, Kev, tell him to stop.
So Rory, is Jamie the guy that moans a lot? Is he the perfectionist?
He's certainly the kind of the one that keeps us all in check, I would say. But every band needs someone like that. You know,
very diplomatic, Rory.
Very nice way of putting it. Like. Yeah, ask him that question again after I've left the call.
Good stuff, good stuff. So we're talking about how are the songs constructed in the studio then? I mean, are there the main songwriters to the songs, or is King Rich a band where all members contribute? Give that to Rory then, since we don't know how much time he's got.
Jamie writes the vast majority of the music, I would say. He usually comes to us with like the bulk of a song or a bunch of riffs that are going to be put together as a song. Some of the newer songs that we're practicing in the rehearsal room are kind of coming together a bit more. Maybe I wouldn't say a jam vibe, but there's kind of parts of them that are being added in the practice room that will sound cool, and different kind of ideas for rhythms or different chords or whatever. But with the last two albums were predominantly pretty much exclusively written by Jamie, and then Laura does all her own lyrics and stuff. That's how the songs usually come together.
Cool, Jamie. What happens if you play it to Rory and Rory comes back to you and says, "No, that doesn't sound right. That's no good. We can't have that."
Folk are usually pretty diplomatic, but they're like, I've learned to judge over the years by the reaction to a riff if it's shite. You know, it's like, you know, like either I'll have recorded it and send it out, and the ones that get like zero response, you're like, right, cool, we'll talk over that one. Or you're playing it in the room. They're like, cool, yeah. But what about the other one from before? You're like, right, cool. Okay, we'll go back to that.
That's cool. I was actually going to ask like how you do negotiate it, what stays in, what goes out of the song. So do you have like kind of a vote and the majority wins, or is it more like a feeling, a vibe that you get? What would you say, Laura?
Usually stuff just like, I guess the best stuff floats to the top, doesn't it? Like, so like we're just jamming out various ideas, and then everyone, usually it'll be pretty clear.
Well,
if we're all enjoying playing it and we're all moving when we're playing it, then you know, it's usually a good sign.
Yeah.
To be quite honest with you, I'm quite disappointed in your answer there. I was expecting like blood on the walls and fisticuffs in the studio and things like that, but it seems to be like you're quite a strong unit now, so that's pleasing to hear. Cool.
There's been no violence as of yet. There is still time though.
There's got to be one that goes in a huff though.
Oh, we've all been in a huff at some point.
Yeah.
Good
I'd say in the studio, I was probably in some kind of a huff at least once a day. But it's like probably going so many huffs, so they don't really have any effect. You know what I mean? So it's like
the boy who cried huff.
Yeah. Nah, good stuff. So obviously for every band out there, it's been a difficult 18 months not playing any gigs. So did you have any did you have a UK tour or anything like that planned over the last year? Has it just been postponed and you're carrying it forward for maybe the summer, autumn this year? What have you got planned?
We had dates booked for July, but they've just been mostly shifted into September now. So that's like the third time I think that they've been rescheduled. And then we've got like some shows and stuff later on in the year, like Badgerfest, for instance. We've also got Cult Fest later in the year as well. But we've got dates that are sort of stacking up for next year's, which are going to be quite cool, but they've not all like been totally confirmed, and we haven't like advertised them yet, but there's some pretty cool ones that are coming up, including Desert Fest, which is awesome.
It's quite strange that you're using Bloodstock as your warm-up gig.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I know.
Believe me, it's cool, but it would have been nice to dip your toes into something a bit sort of less scary.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big gulp moment, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're right. It's a Sophie Lancaster stage, eh? So I haven't been to Bloodstock as of yet. I'll definitely be going next year though. But do you know how big the tent is or how big the venue is?
It's a good size.
It's big, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the capacity of it, but it's big.
Do you know what time you're on it?
6:40 on Thursday.
Cool. I just think even bands that are on first thing in the morning, sometimes that can be bad at a festival. There's not going to be many people there. But because of what's been happening the last 18 months, 2 years, I think every single band is going to play to a very decent crowd. no matter where they are in the bill. So you're going to play to a full place, man, and I wish you guys the best of luck for it.
Cheers,
Thank you very much.
But you guys are also prolific songwriters. Not only are you prolific songwriters, but you're also not shy in releasing music videos. So you've released Of Stock and Roan. Of Stock and Roan.
That's a belter, man.
Yeah. Of Rock and Stone. The reason why I got that mixed up there was because that's the song that we have been playing on the radio. So I got a wee bit excited there. So you've released Of Rock and Stone and Return to Dust from the latest album. So is this a conscious decision within the band that videos must be made to promote the music and keep the name of King Witch out there? And did you actually have plans to release more videos with Body of Light, but COVID put a stop to that?
I think it's just something that, like, is it not like a sort of traditional thing? So you bring out an album, you'll maybe choose one of the songs as kind of your single, and then you'll maybe try and do a video for it. Obviously, doing videos can be quite expensive, so that's we get like a bit of money from the label, but then even then they're really, really expensive to do. So quite a lot of the time we'll kind of do it sort of DIY as well. We were thinking about bringing out another video for Witch's Mark. It's not something we've done yet. But,
we've got an idea for it though.
We've got an idea.
Oh, it's a belter.
It's a good one. Like, we'll definitely do that at some point.
We'll definitely do that soon. Yeah.
Something tells me it was Rory's idea because he's grins from ear to ear.
It was actually Jamie's idea, but it involves beer, so anything involving beer is going to fit.
Well, hopefully that'll come to light at some point. Then looking forward to that. So Laura, I think we touched on this before.
I've got to run. Sorry to interrupt, Bookie.
No worries, man.
It was good to see you, Rory. Good to see you again. Cheers, Rory.
Bye.
Bye.
Catch you later.
Right, so with Laura, you being the vocalist of the band, then do you write all the lyrics or do you welcome contributions from the band?
I pretty much write the majority of the lyrics. Jamie's kind of written bits and bobs now and again. But I mean, if anybody had any ideas, I would definitely be more than happy, to take the ideas on board. It's just never really that's just not how we've worked before. But yeah, I quite like doing that.
It's definitely an art form, and it must be quite a relief for you, Jamie, not having to worry about the lyrics because it's not easy to do.
No, it's not like definitely. Well, I didn't do any for this album. Like, I've done short bursts for the other one just because it was something that I had in mind. But yeah, even that, a line or two, I wouldn't want to have to write a full album's worth. So it's
especially when you're writing 8-minute songs, you're writing a friggin' 10,000 word essay.
You can totally get $1 if I was writing the lyrics. The songs would be a lot shorter.
Good stuff. But Laura, have you been continually writing, or do you wait to hear the songs and then you write the songs for lyrics?
I generally wait. Like if I hear the song, so let's say Jamie came with like ideas of a riff or something, sometimes you'll immediately get an idea of what you think like the song could be about, or like you immediately get an idea of what like possible lyrics sort of just immediately pop into your head. Sometimes it doesn't work like that, but that's how I usually work. So I'd like to be able to hear it first so you can kind of get a feeling as to how the song should go vocally.
So are you ever going to do a concept album, or is it always going to be individual songs?
No, the next album's going to be a concept album about fictional detectives called Appetite for Deduction.
He's waited half an hour for him to bring
he's waited a lifetime to get that one out.
I'll give you that. I'll just have to edit it out when I put the video out there, I'm afraid. No, well played, man, well played. So where do you record and where do you rehearse your songs then?
We've got a rehearsal space in Edinburgh, in Leith, that we share with Iron Altar, our pals there. So it's a cool place. There's a few rooms in there. It used to be a sort of commercial rehearsal rooms, if you like, and a few years ago, a few of the guys in the Edinburgh scene took it over, and it was just monthly rents for a few bands. It's great place to rehearse. Stu Gordon's got a wee studio in there called Wall of Sound that I've occasionally used, so I used that to record the drums for the covers EP, for instance. It's a good place. A lot of our friends worked there, and yeah, and it works out well because Rory's based in Dundee, Lyle's in Edinburgh, me and Laura are just in the borders. It's a kind of good location for us.
Yeah.
I've interviewed Iron Altar before as well, and they're a good bunch of guys as well. I'm looking forward to seeing them at Badgerfest as well. Oh, I'm going to have to tag them in this when they release so that you can see. They only said positive things about you. No, they didn't really. So,
I don't believe that.
So thanks a lot for that, guys. Obviously, another main reason for interviewing you today is that you're playing Badgerfest in October of this year. So again, this must be another festival that you're looking forward to playing.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, man.
No, I was just wondering, like, Badgerfest has just got like bigger and bigger every year. I think this is its 5th year, but I think it's the 4th festival for obvious reasons. But are there any other bands in the bill that you're looking forward to seeing yourself?
Well, we've got our mates, Iron Altar and Ramage Inc.
Oh, they're mates now, are they? Yeah.
We love them. Altar boys, really. Yeah, so it'd be great to see them playing on the same bill as them. And I think I'd quite like to see Everest Queen.
Yeah, we played with them before.
Yeah, they're very good. It'd be cool to see Raging Speedhorn because I've never seen them before live. Chrysler. Christella. It's got an L in it.
I don't know how to pronounce it. We've played with them before. I can't remember how you pronounce it.
They were very good.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's one of these ones that just we'll see when we end up arriving. You know what I mean? Because with these things, although you've always got this 3-day festival, but with work and schedules and that, well, it just depends when we end up getting down there and coming back. You know. Yeah. But there's a good bunch of bands playing. So yeah, definitely look forward to seeing a few of them.
There's a good Scottish contingent as well. You know, there's obviously you guys, Iron Altar, as you say. There's God Eater from Glasgow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
And also, a lot of bands are saying Ramage Inc. They're looking forward to seeing Ramage Inc. as well. You know, so
yeah, they're great. They're great. So we've known Ramage for years, but yeah, great band. We're looking more forward to seeing them.
Yeah, Ramage used to record our old band, so he is. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to have a blast down there, and we're actually going down ourselves. So I think there's about 4 or 5 of us from Moshville Times.
Wow.
So I don't know whether it's because the Scottish part of us, but we've actually got an interview bit right beside the bar. So the interviews might start off well in the early afternoon, but by 3 o'clock, we probably. Yeah, so we're going to be there for Moshville Times and Moshville Radio as well, and we'll also be doing like a build up to Badgerfest on the radio as well. So you guys will be sure to be played again.
Thank you.
No worries on that. Like I say, we on the radio already, we have played Of Rock and Stone. Right? I just had to read that to make sure I got it right. But if there's another particular song that you would like us to play, then just send us an MP3 and we'll certainly hear it for you.
No worries.
That's all. So like I say, Badgerfest has built up a reputation. So how did you get to know like John Badger? Had he seen you live and saying, I want you to play my festival, or did you apply for the festival? How did you?
I'm not sure. I don't think we've actually met in person before. He sent us an email to ask us if we were interested. We'd actually sent him an email a few years back to see about getting on the bill, but we were a bit late in asking, so it was already full. And he got back to us to ask us if we were interested in playing this one. And we've not actually. It'll be the first time I played in Manchester in quite a long time.
Yeah, so quite a few years.
Yeah,
so that'll be good.
Yeah, it'll be great fun. Be good.
Yeah. I mean, it was sold out, and then obviously Boris loosened the restrictions a wee bit more, so there's sold more tickets again, and it's looking as if it's going to be sold out again. So it looks as if it's going to be full capacity. So it looks as if it's going to be a great festival. Looking forward to it myself.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get.
I was just going to say, I think gigs this year in general, and probably in the next year, people are just going to be snapping.
Yeah.
Snapping them up just because it's been in such a shitty year and a half.
Yeah. Hopefully that is going to happen. You're not going to turn up and there's going to be a one man and his dog there. You know, there's going to be quite a decent crowd for. I mean, Glasgow, for example, they've got 5 or 6 venues like a stone throw from each other, so they can put gigs on every night. And sometimes that can break up the crowd, you know, but hopefully everything will work out for the better. But thanks again for that. I'm going to ask you, this is my golden question. I think I like this question, sorry. So before the internet, then magazines and fanzines were the places to find out about new bands and trends, but now publications have been replaced with thousands of websites catering for all genres. So do you think that some of the passion's been lost, or do you think that the internet has been a good thing for music and a good thing for King Witch?
That's a good question. Like, it's weird. Like, I think a lot of stuff to do with the internet has had quite a negative effect on music. Like this streaming, for instance, is definitely the way that music's going to be consumed now. But I think the business behind it is really choking the life out of recorded music as a sort of medium that anyone's going to want to put any sort of effort into, which is a real shame, you know.
Yeah.
I also think it's quite strange these days because there's so many avenues of information for music, you know, whereas in the past you might buy one magazine a month, but you could be pretty sure that all the sort of tours and gigs you want to know about would be in there. Yeah. Nowadays, you find that like a band you really want to see, a band you really like, are playing, you know, the next weekend, and you're like, how's this passed me by? I've not heard about this, you know, just because, you know, their particular, their socials team or whatever hasn't, you know, got them out to the whatever content you're looking at. It's a strange, it's sort of slightly fractured feel to the whole sort of music business just now, you know.
Yeah.
At the same time, there's obviously like having positives, like allowing anyone to be heard, you know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there are positives to it as well. I mean, it's just quite interesting seeing your music, like stats for stuff, seeing your music being played all over the world. It's like something you've created in a wee, like a jam room in Leith or whatever. It's like getting played in Russia or Canada or any, like, you know, somewhere like that. That's pretty cool. So
yeah, having it on the web, there are some benefits, obviously. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I grew up in an age as no, in fact, you guys are much younger than me. I said that because there's a lady present. But yeah, I grew up in an age where like CDs should be burned. I've got my tapes in there and a couple of vinyl as well, you know. It was great when you read your magazine and you had to send like a £1 note away to a band, and a couple of days later you'll get the demo and you would open up, you'll get a letter from the band, you would get flyers coming out and you listen to it and you're like, don't know if I like it. But because you invested in it, you would listen to it again and again and then make up your mind. So you'll give the band a fair shout. Whereas now, as you say, Jamie, you go on Spotify or something like that, 10 seconds, oh no, that's band shit. Because there's 10 million other bands doing stuff, you just instantly dismiss the band after 10 seconds.
Well, this is it. This is totally true, man. And I think the way people digest music has changed, like, in my opinion, not necessarily in a great way. And it's like exactly like you say, I remember when I was younger, like, you know, you'd get your like paper round money and you'd buy it, you'd have read reviews in Metal Hammer or Kerrang or something, and you'd choose an album and you'd buy it. And like, even if you weren't taken with it, you'd totally digest it. You know what I mean? And be listening to it through again. And then, you know, you'd find lots of albums that like, there's so many albums that don't necessarily reveal themselves in first listen, you know, but you persevere with it. And yeah, I think it's a shame that that's been lost because, like you say, it's so easy to access music that it's viewed as a, you know, as a cheaper, you know, a bit of the value's gone from it, you know.
Has it made you think about, this just came into my head just now, but has it made you think about maybe releasing a song every couple of months rather than an album and then it'll be a year and a half before another album's out again? I mean, so rather than that year and a half gap, you've only got like, you've consistently releasing new material for everybody to hear.
I think, I mean, I know there are like bands that have done that, but like for me personally, and I know that, you know, like, I know like you yourself as well, like you like to have an album to be able to listen, like a full album to listen to, not just a song, because, well, you'd be listening to the song, you'd be like, oh, that's brilliant. And then you'd be like I want to hear more, like immediately.
Yeah.
I know there's something about an album. An album's great. You get the album, you've got the artwork, you've got, like I said, the whole thing's like a package. I still think that's a nice thing.
I think we're also still quite lucky in like sort of metal and rock and that there is still quite a market, relatively speaking, for vinyl, CD and so on, you know. And people want that product, you know.
Yeah.
Even there was a bit of a backlash with the Covers EP, which was only released digitally, with a lot of people saying, where's the physical product and stuff like that. We're like, well, it's not happening for this particular, you know, release. But but yeah, I totally know what you mean. And from a sort of 21st century point of view, that would make sense. Yeah. But I personally would be reluctant to leave the I mean, band and think that's how we'd probably keep on doing it, you know.
Yeah, I see more and more bands releasing cassettes as well, you know, so that's making a comeback. I'm sure I read a couple of months ago, I think it was a couple of months ago, that vinyl had outsold CDs for the first time in decades, you know, so there's definitely this nostalgic feeling there. But yeah, and like you say, Laura, I review EPs and albums as well, and when you get an EP, you're like, this is absolutely brilliant. Oh no, it's just finished. Whereas with an album, you get a beginning, middle, and an end. You get the package, you get the story, you get the artwork, and all the rest of it. So I see your point. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? So who knows? But this is probably the time where I have to start another 40-minute Zoom session, because we're now going to talk about the instruments that you use. And you guys love no more than talking about your instruments. So, Jamie, you're obviously the guitarist of the band then. So what make and model of choice do you have? What pedals do you have in your amps? What's your setup?
Oh,
this is what you've been waiting on, that joke that you said.
Totally, I get it both. Les Paul, like a battered old Les Paul Studio. It's like a 1993 model. It's an amazing guitar. I've got an SG that I've had since I was 16, which I bought the first month's wages when I first left school. And that was what I used on the first King Witch EP.
Yeah.
And like that guitar I've been sort of inseparable with since I was a youngster. And when we first were flying to gigs in Sweden, I was terrified of bringing that guitar on a plane because, you know, I've had it so long. So I got this Les Paul. And I managed to get a really good deal. It was we've got for like 350 quid and put some new pickups in it and that. But basically the sound of it and the sort of feel of it, I just sort of completely fell in love with that guitar. So that's been 99% of the time for everything ever since, is the Les Paul. For recording the SG, you've got Flying V. They always come in, and on most recordings, there's always some Fenders usually end up appearing on the clean parts, you know. Yeah. But basically the sound of the Les Paul, just because the amount of wood in the guitar, I think is quite hard to beat, you know.
Do you have it right next to you? I knew he was going to do that.
What have we done?
I know. Let's talk about him when he's away. I thought it was actually right next to him. He's probably gone into his bedroom now or something.
I always compare his guitars to like women, and like he puts one under the bed and leaves it there for ages. And
none of them are under the bed. They're all out. They're all out. So this is it's well battered now. It's achieved quite a lot of sort of bruising. But I've actually just replaced all of the pots, switches, and electrics because they were fairly well knackered. But yeah, it's a bit like Trigger's broom now. This guitar over the last few years, like the wood is still original. I think everything else, so the body, frets, and that, machine heads, electrics, and that have all been replaced just through sort of wear and tear. But yeah, no, it's a beauty, amazing guitar. Like just sound wise, it's pretty hard to beat.
Very nice, very nice. What about your pedals and your amps and stuff like that then?
So amp is Orange Rock Reverb 100 watt. So I've had that amp for a good few years now. Actually, I had that in the old band. Just like that's a really hard amp to beat. I've not played anything. I've played plenty of other amps that I really like the sound of. Yeah. And I've borrowed various amps for recording, and they always end up just getting sidelined for the Orange. You know, I've used other amps for sort of clean bits and recording and so on, but the Orange just
it's meaty.
Yeah, it's just got a huge warm sound that you can't get from anything else that I've found. Yeah. So the sort of main sound is just that, in terms of drive. But pedals, I use quite a lot of pedals just for atmosphere and so on. Got a couple of delays, carbon copy from MXR, and a flashback that's like a sort of more intense delay. Digitech Whammy, which gets used for the octave settings. What else? Got a Strymon Flint, which is a beautiful reverb. Small Stone Phaser, had that for years. That makes an appearance anytime I want stuff to sound weird. So,
Laura, is he a bit of a techie geek? You know, he's got his like 10 pedals and stuff like that, and it takes him half an hour to set up.
He's all right with the setup, but he is definitely a nerd when it comes to anything to do with guitars, pedals, sounds, like recording, anything like that.
Cool. So you go on a week-long tour, Jamie. What guitars do you take with you then? I take it you take 2 or 3 with you, or just 2? Or?
2 usually, yeah. Usually it'll be the Les Paul and the SG.
No.
And,
so if you break a string, you've got a backup.
Exactly. I'm quite bad for breaking strings, so I've got quite a strict system. So basically strings get changed every 2 gigs, or else you can set your watch by it; they'll snap on the 3rd. So it's much worse in the summer. I think it's just because of the sweat. So at the moment our practice room's really hot, so we basically snapping strings every day in the practice room. So
yeah, you can come out of practice room's piss and sweat. It's really hot.
Silly question then, should you not go for a better make of strings?
Well, the thing is, so I use the Darios, which are, I think, the best strings. You can get coated strings and so on, which last longer, but they don't do them in the gauge that I use, which is quite a heavy gauge, and I don't like them. I don't like the feel of them as much, So at the end of the day, it's like, also they cost a lot more. So for changing a set every couple of gigs, it's not the end of the world. I'm just going to tend to do that.
Cool.
But yeah, I used to snap constantly when I was young and skint at gigs, because I'd change one string rather than changing the whole set. I mind when I was a total youngster, one gig, but I think we only had about a 4-song set, and I only had 2 strings left on the guitar by the end of it.
Have you ever thought about being more gentle? Look at it.
I've tried everything, but I've not tried that. I don't think it will.
Good stuff. Thanks a lot for that, Jamie. Laura, with you being the vocalist then, have you gone through a whole range of microphones before you've settled the one that you really like, or you just like, give me a microphone and I'll sing into it? Or are you quite particular?
I've got my own mic. So, I mean, I used to use a Shure SM58 for a long time. That's the kind of standard one that you would get. But then I use a Rhodes mic now, which it's just got like a nice sort of warm sound to it. I've had it for ages. It's pretty bashed. But I mean, it's mic experimentation is not really something I've done other than when we're recording.
In the studio, we've done it.
In the studio, which is quite interesting, but not for live gigs. I've got a pedal that I use. So I use a TC Electronics mic mechanic, and that's basically just so that I can kick in delay whenever I want to, because usually for choruses and stuff, you just want to kind of emulate what it sounds like on the album. And it's a really cool pedal. I would thoroughly recommend it for any vocalist. It's pretty cool. But yeah.
There you go. Well, listen, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I obviously wish you the best of luck for Thursday.
Thank you.
But I'm especially looking forward to seeing you at Badgerfest. We'll definitely, this won't be the last time that we'll talk. We'll definitely hook up with you when we're down there as well.
Awesome.
We'll certainly promote the shit out of King Witch because it's definitely worth promoting. And yeah, have a blast, and I look forward to seeing you in October, if not before. Do you have any gigs in Glasgow, for example, after Bloodstock, but before Badgerfest?
Yeah, we've got a bunch of UK dates in September, actually.
So the Glasgow one is on the 10th of September.
Cool.
So it's Glasgow's Friday the 10th of September at Ivory Blacks. Edinburgh's Saturday the 11th of September at La and Gel.
So who have you got playing with you?
I don't know about Glasgow. So Red Crust, Duncan from Red Crust is promoting it. So I'm sure he'll get some good bands lined up. I know that in Edinburgh we've got Ramage Inc. playing with us, and an Axor, who are a fantastic band as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then I've no doubt that Duncan will line up some good bands for Glasgow as well. And we've got some other gigs that weekend. We're playing in London on the Friday, and I think on the Sunday we're down in Bradford or something. So these are rescheduled gigs again from the summer.
Yeah.
We've got Hanger as well, and we.
Oh yeah. So we're down in Swansea, London, back up to the 2 Scottish gigs, and then
back to Bradford.
Yeah. So yeah, a few miles that weekend.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll all be worth it. But see, when you play gigs in Scotland as well, do you go all the way up to Aberdeen and places like that, and Dundee, Perth? Yeah. No.
We have done in the past. Yeah. When was the last time we played Aberdeen?
Oh, it's been
Well,
a while.
everything was ages ago now, wasn't it?
I know, everything just seems like a lifetime ago.
We used to play in Aberdeen a lot. Aberdeen had a bit of bad luck with venues over the last few years, though. You know, they lost downstairs, which was the main venue bands like us would play. That was a fantastic venue.
Yeah.
That might be the last time we played in Aberdeen.
I can't remember. Yeah, it's been so long.
No, it was the Full Metal Haggis Festival.
Oh, yeah.
In Bankery. We played there, and they did an indoor gig as well. Sort of an indoor one in Aberdeen. I think that might be the last time we played there.
Yeah, they were cool. I used to always love playing in Aberdeen, and I wouldn't be obviously adverse to playing there again. Steve used to put the gigs on. Dundee, like you played Church, and
that was a great venue.
A really good venue. In Perth, again, Perth, it's been a long time, because Perth used to have an amazing music scene, but it's maybe not quite as thriving as it used to be, but it's still got like venues and stuff there, and obviously it'd be up for playing again.
Yeah. Because that's what I try and tell the English bands that I've interviewed. Like, they would generally come to Glasgow and or Edinburgh, but I tell them about Perth, Dundee, and Aberdeen, especially Aberdeen. They've got even Dumfries. They've got a good.
And a mess as well, even.
Yeah. Because they're screaming out for gigs. As soon as they get one, they always get a good attendance. But you guys know that since you're a Scottish band. It's always good interviewing a Scottish band, because it means I can talk as fast as I like. And but hey ho. But like I say, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I wish you the best of luck. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks for taking the time to chat to us.
No worries. Thank you.